7:45 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS, America's Most Watched Network, the network of stars. You can stream it on Paramount Plus. LSU, after taking down Alabama in overtime last season, now arrives to Bryant-Denny Stadium, and we've got first place in the SEC West on the line. Alabama 5-0 in conference play, currently holding down that spot. LSU 4-1 in conference play, though that loss comes to Ole Miss. Things could get convoluted, but a win over the Tide would go a long way towards putting the Tigers back in that picture for Atlanta. Alabama favored by 3. Jaden Daniels on an absolute heater this season. Jaden Daniels right now is carrying the kind of statistical profile into the Alabama game through 8 games that a young man named Joe Burrow had. Joe Burrow heading into Alabama, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,805 passing yards, 10.8 per attempt. The offense was averaging 46.8 points per game. Jaden Daniels, 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2,573 passing yards, 11.5 yards per attempt, and the offense averaging 47.4 points per game. Danny, Jalen Milroe does not need to be better than Jaden Daniels in this game, but can he be good enough to give Alabama a chance to get this huge win, a revenge win against the Tigers?
Just keep chucking it deep. You know my philosophy on Jalen Milroe. Just find Jermaine Burton somewhere down the field and heave it. To back up the theory, he's completing 60% of his passes that travel 20 or more yards through the air. I mean, he's only 64% overall. So like, just keep throwing it deep. I say that jokingly. So I think with Jalen Milroe versus Jaden Daniels, doesn't it feel like if there was ever one game where and I know you can't win it in one game, but like this is Jaden Daniels' potential Heisman moment. Like Correct. This is the one where he could win the Heisman. And I know there's a lot of football left and we'd have to see what happens from then on. But my goodness, he would absolutely be minus money if he wins this game and plays the way he's capable of. What I'm trying to figure out is Bama fixed all their issues? Because that's kind of the narrative you're hearing. But I also recognize the teams that they played against are not exactly stellar. Like their defense has been all of a sudden this much better since the Texas game. But outside the Ole Miss game, which was in their backyard, like who's the best quarterback they've played? Who's the best offense they played? So this clearly will be their biggest challenge defensively. And then offensively, everyone's had their success on LSU. But I think they've actually played some of the really good offensive schemes. So I think LSU's defense may not be as bad as we think. They're not good, but I think this could be a higher scoring game. I think you could see some back and forth. And if it is, kind of think that favors LSU and Jaden Daniels.
I think there's some really important injuries to look for here.
Ooh, let's go. Infirmary report.
Yeah. Yeah. Writing this down.
Yeah.
If you've been watching Brian Kelly's press conferences, you've been watching the Auburn game and the Army game, the last 2 they played before the bye week.
Didn't watch the Army game.
Are any of the 4 corner transfers they took going to play? That would be Harris, Alexander, Chestnut, and Johnson. I think there's a lot of signal in your action and inaction in the portal. And if you take 4 corners, that probably means you hate your corner room. And if your corners are Sage Ryan and 4 guys who you did not plan on having to play this year because all the other guys are either hurt, suspended, or kicked off the team, take your pick. I think that's a real problem. They didn't have Mekhi Wingo against Army. He coming back? Because Mason Smith this year has not looked quite like the same Mason Smith that he looked like, pre-injury. If they don't have him, that's a real difference maker in the middle. And if they don't have those corners, I am very confident that Alabama is going to be able to create wide open guys and free runners here for Milroe to hit. I think who you have on the field has to matter. The other injury I really care about here is right tackle Emory Jones, who, if you watch the end of I think it was the Army game or the Auburn game. I think Army. He was on crutches on the TV copy. Is he back? I don't know. The backup's a true freshman, Lance Hurd, who we liked a ton, but he's still a true freshman going into Tuscaloosa. I think Alabama's defense, with 2 weeks to prepare, is going to have something for Daniels. I think this is the first defense that LSU will have played who's going to put hands on people. And I mean receivers in particular, since FSU. FSU held them to 17. They challenged routes. LSU got some yards, and they won some in the red zone. If you played that again, I mean, LSU got what, 17 for garbage time? They probably should have had like 24 because the red zone goal line fourth down stands are not totally repeatable. But I don't know that LSU's going in there and dropping 45 against a team that can run with them and can put hands on them. I was looking at my stats bomb earlier today. Brian Thomas has to be huge in this game because Neighbors is not a good contested catch guy. He's really amazing in space, but Thomas has to be the one who, when people put hands on you, can win one-on-ones. And I think that that's got to be huge for them. Yeah, chat's saying Wingo's been announced out. Guys, I think that matters quite a bit. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned it already, but like Chip, you said that Jalen Milroe doesn't need to outplay Jaden Daniels. Yes, I agree. But I think more importantly is how good does Jaden Daniels have to play in this game for LSU to have a chance to beat Alabama? Because as Bud was mentioning, like Jaden's worst game of the year, just to show how good he's been, was the Florida State game. It's the only game where he finished under 10 yards per attempt. He only had 9.4. He only threw for 346 yards in that game.
Other than 85 of those were on that pass against all the true freshmen when Norvell emptied the bench because they were getting negligibly recruited.
It was garbage time. It does blah,
yeah.
blah.
No, but I mean, like
they only scored 17 real
yards.
points, not the 24 that they finished with. Those points don't count. Anyways, the point I'm getting to is that Jaden Daniels has been phenomenal all year. But what's the best defense it's played? Like Florida State was good in that first game, but on the season, Florida State has given up explosive plays time and time again to everybody it's faced. I think it's got good players. I don't think it's a great defense. It's not Grambling. It's not Mississippi State. It's not Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mizzou, Auburn, Army. This is far and away the best defense that Jaden Daniels and this LSU offense will have faced so far this season. And I think the key will be, Alabama this year doesn't play a ton of man, but it plays a fair bit of man coverage. And I'm wondering if in this game, to kind of counteract Jaden Daniels' ability with his legs, do we see Alabama going more zone? Do we see them spying him to try to take away his legs and seeing if he could just beat them with his arm? Because that is the one thing about Jaden. He is much better this year, but he still has a tendency to just drop it and go instead of sticking around and waiting for his second or third read. Like, I don't think he has progressed that much as a passer reading, defenses and, going through his reads. On the other side, and I also think it's very important for Alabama, can you get LSU in third and long? Because
yes,
it's been the best third down offense in the country by far, but part of that is, and they're good in third and long, but they're in third and short 38.5% of the time of their third downs. That is the fourth highest third and short kind of rate in the nation. They convert 77% of them. Like, that is what LSU's secret is. They keep the drives alive, and a big part of that is Jaden Daniels' legs. Alabama is in third and long 51% of the time. They're averaging, they need usually 7.3 yards per play on third down. So third downs are going to be huge in this game. More importantly, it's going to be, can Alabama get LSU in more third and long situations? Because if they're in third and short, you're toast. You're not going to stop them. Teams very rarely do. They're hard to defend in that spot. And also, going back to the quarterback battle again, Jalen Milroe, Danny, you said it. He's completing 66% of his passes of 28 yards or more. LSU's defense ranks 105th nationally in explosive play rate allowed in the passing game. Alabama's only 13th. Are the big plays going to be there for LSU? I don't know. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I think LSU can win this game. I also think they're a very trendy pick.
I do not want to be holding an LSU ticket and watch Daniels get crushed in the open field by an Alabama defensive front that imposes violence on the opponent. I want no part of that. I mean, Nussmeier's good, right? But if you have to go to Nussmeier, that's night-night, right? There's no way that the offense is still going to be running at the same clip, because Jaden Daniels' average this season, an average performance, is maybe good enough to get this done. But I don't know. I don't want to be trusting Nussmeier to be able to deliver that kind of production. If LSU can get to 35 points against this Alabama defense, it can win the football game.
Can LSU get pressure? mean, Alabama's been giving up pressure to everybody else.
Yeah, they give up a ton of pressure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's Jalen standing there waiting for his receiver to get 30 yards down the field because I think that is what their offense is. If you can't pressure Alabama, your pass rush sucks.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
mean, big Harold Perkins game, right?
Very big.
Yeah.
I think he's played a lot better. Honestly, I think he's more comfortable with the role, and I think they've done a nice job of fitting the role, to him. Tom, I love that point about how you got to stay out of third and short. LSU is number 1 in the country by a mile in first down success rate.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think like Bama being aggressive with coverage, putting hands on people, denying some of these easy access throws. We just haven't seen LSU have to operate behind the chains very much. I mean, how many third and longs have they faced this year?
Very few.
Can't be many.
No, and they're still I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're still converting like 39% of their third and longs, which I think ranked in the top 5 nationally.
That's the receivers.
No, that's Jaden scrambling.
Oh, okay.
A lot of it. The receivers are very good too, but Jaden Daniels scrambles a lot on third and long because you drop back, you leave a big old hole, and he just runs right through it.
The weird thing, they're actually not very good at third and short. Like they see a ton of third and short, but they're just okay. They're like awesome in long down and distance so far, but
talking about LSU?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like they see so many third and shorts, but they don't convert that like at some astronomical rate. That
checks out. I mean, do you trust LSU? Do you trust LSU in like hard yardage, run the football situations?
Well, their run game's been a problem for like the first month. It's been better.
Yeah.